Hello, my name is John Moyer, and I want to welcome you to the NIH Office of Disease Prevention's Mind the Gap webinar series. This series explores research design, measurement, intervention, data analysis, and other methods of interest to prevention science. Our goal is to engage the prevention research community in thought-provoking discussions, to promote the use of the best available methods, and to support the development of better methods. Before we begin, I have some housekeeping items. You can submit questions during the webinar by clicking on the question mark in the WebEx toolbar. Please direct your questions to all panelists. We will open the floor to questions that have been submitted via WebEx at the conclusion of today's talk. The slides and video recording will be posted on our website, prevention.nih.gov/mindthegap, in approximately 1 week. You will receive an email when they are available. Lastly, we would appreciate your feedback about today's webinar. Upon closing the WebEx meeting, you will be prompted to complete an evaluation. We would appreciate your feedback as it will help us improve this webinar series. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. David M. Murray, Associate Director for Prevention and Director of the Office of Disease Prevention.
Thank you, John. Today's speaker is Dr. Michael Proschan. Dr. Proschan is a mathematical statistician at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases with 32 years of experience in clinical trials. Dr. Proschan received his PhD in statistics from Florida State University in 1989 and is a fellow of the American Statistical Association. He loves teaching, and I can attest to that, having heard him present any number of times. He has been an adjunct professor at Johns Hopkins University and George Washington University. He is co-author of 2 books, Statistical Monitoring of Clinical Trials, A Unified Approach, and Essentials of Probability Theory for Statisticians. He's just completed work on a 3rd book, in fact, which is in press, Statistical Thinking in Clinical Trials. It's my very great pleasure to welcome Dr. Proschan.
All right, thank you very much, David, and thank you for inviting me to give this talk on randomization-based inference in prevention research. So we know that randomization is what separates clinical trials from all other types of studies. And one of the key properties of randomization is that it eliminates bias in who receives the treatment. So we know that in observational studies, the people who choose to take an experimental intervention might be different than those who don't. And in particular, for example, they might be more health conscious, they might exercise more, go to the doctor, eat a better diet, etc. But in a randomized trial, essentially it's a coin flip that is going to decide who gets the intervention and who doesn't. But randomization can also be the sole basis for deciding whether the intervention works. And that's the so-called randomization-based inference. It's also called the analyze as you randomize principle. And that's what I'll be talking about today. And it was invented by R.A. Fisher back in 1935 in connection with the lady tasting tea experiment. And I need to thank Martha Nason at this point, because these slides on lady tasting tea, Martha helped really spiff them up, and so thank you, Martha. I'm going to call this the tea test. So a lady claims that she can tell whether tea or cream was added first to a cup. And so the experimenter added tea first to 4 cups and cream first to 4 other cups, and then presented the cups to her in a random order. So here's a random order then. First one was cream first, the second one was tea first, etc. And then the lady guesses which cups had the cream added first. And we count the number correct among those that cream was added first to. Now we could just count all the number correct, but once you know the number correct among the ones that cream was added first, you know the total number of correct. So there's no loss in generality. So suppose that she correctly guesses cups number 2, 4, 7, and 8 had the cream added first. So here are the data. The red circles denote what she guessed had the cream added first. So 2, 4, 7, and 8. And so what we're testing really here is that she's just completely guessing. She has no real ability to discern whether cream or tea was added first. She's just guessing. And so here's, but she happened to get all of them correct. This is the true order of presentation. And you can see that all 4 of the circled ones were the cream added first. And so she gets 4 out of 4. And now, how can we determine whether that's really an impressive number correct? How unlikely would it be to get 4 out of 4? And so what we do now is we consider all possible orderings of the cups. So the null, if this had been the correct ordering, in other words, if the first 4 had been tea added first and the last 4 had been cream added first, then her guess she would have gotten 2 right. So we're assuming that she would have guessed these same 4 cups no matter what the correct order of presentation is, if the null hypothesis is true that she's completely guessing. So she would have gotten 2 right if this had been the correct order. If this had been the correct order, if this had been the correct order, she would have gotten only 1 right. And we can consider all the possible orders that the T could have been presented to her. And that will help us get a reference distribution of the number correct if she's just guessing. And then what we'll do is we'll compute a p-value, the probability of results at least as extreme as what she got, as the proportion of these randomized orders that produce at least as many correct guesses as she got among those cream first cups. And this is called a randomization test. It's also known as a re-randomization test or a permutation test. Now she got all 4 of the cups where cream was added first. She got all 4 of those correct. And here is the distribution obtained by looking at all possible randomizations. And you can see that the most likely event would be to get 2 of them correct, less likely to get 1 or 3 correct, and even less likely to get 0 or 4 correct. And she is over here at 4 correct. And the probability of that happening is only about 1 in 70. So that suggests that she does seem to have some ability to discern the cream first versus the tea first cups. Now you might be saying, well, what does that have to do with clinical trials? Well, in clinical trials, the T and C are not tea first or cream first, but they're treatment and control. And the data are not what she guessed had the tea first or the cream first, but the data are now which patients died and which ones survived. And one of the popular methods of randomizing patients in clinical trials is called random permuted blocks. And the way that works is for a block of size 8, for example, you essentially think about having 4 cards with a T on them for treatment and 4 cards with a C on them for control. And so here are the the 4 T's and the 4 C's, and now we randomly permute the order to assign the next 8 patients. So this is a randomly permuted order. This says the first patient gets the control, the next patient gets the treatment, the next one gets the treatment, etc. So it guarantees that after every 8 patients, half of them will be assigned to the treatment and half of them will be assigned to the control. Now, so in this example, then again, the data are no longer what her guesses were, but deaths. So there were 4 deaths in this trial, and this is the true randomization right here. And you can see that all 4 of the deaths happened in the control group. So that's suggestive that the treatment might be effective. So now the null hypothesis is that treatment has no effect, no beneficial effect, no effect at all, and that these 4 patients, patient number 2, 4, 7, and 8, would have died no matter what treatment they received. So regardless of the correct randomization, these 4 patients would have died. Now, the observed number of control deaths is 4. But if we do the same thing we did before and consider all possible different randomizations, there would have been 2 deaths if this had been the correct randomization, 2 control deaths. There would have been 1 control death if this had been the correct randomization. And so we go through that same process of considering all possible randomizations, and we wind up with exactly the same probability distribution, except now it's not the number of correct guesses, but it's the number of control deaths. And again, all 4 of the control patients died, and so we get the same p-value, 1 in 70. So in this example, the event was death, but of course, the event could have been anything, any binary event. With this would have worked. And in this example, we had 4 deaths, but the method works regardless of the number of deaths. You can do the same procedure of just scrambling the treatment labels and looking at the proportion that had at least as extreme a number of control deaths. And notice that the data are remaining fixed. Those are not changing. Only the treatment labels are changing. And this is called actually Fisher's exact test. Fisher's exact test is usually described a little bit differently, but it is exactly this randomization test. So the randomization test then treats the data as fixed numbers and computes the observed treatment effect. And then you re-randomize using the same method that you used in your trial. And then you compute the treatment effect, pretending that those re-randomized assignments were the actual assignments. And then you repeat that thousands of times. And then you compute the p-value as the proportion of the re-randomized trials that had an intervention effect at least as extreme as the observed effect. Now, I like to emphasize the fact that the data are fixed. I usually do this demonstration where I have people come up in the class, and I actually put a card with string around them, and they put the string around their necks. And so their data remain the same throughout, and then I randomly pass out the treatment labels. But to emphasize that the data are not changing, this randomization test is just all that's changing are the randomization labels. So the premise then is if the intervention has no effect, then those results that you observed should be equally plausible regardless of the real randomized assignments, regardless of whether they got intervention and control. And the randomization test, this works with different kinds of data. You can have continuous data, you can have binary or categorical data, and so on. And it provides a valid test with basically no assumptions. That's the beautiful thing about it. Most statistical methods make the assumption that participants are randomly sampled from the population of interest. But how often does that happen in clinical trials? And the answer is it never happens in clinical trials because we never have a list of all people in the world who have some disease. And even if we had such a list and sampled randomly from it, not everyone would consent to be in the trial. So we never actually have random sampling. But even though we never really have random sampling, we always randomize. So we can use this randomization test. Now, one caveat is that the randomization test is testing a strong null hypothesis that the intervention has no effect on anyone. And that can be an important caveat because, for example, you could get a statistically significant result if treatment has an effect on the variance but not the mean. So maybe you didn't, increase the mean of what you were looking at, but change the variance. it's possible that the randomization test will say, yes, you got a statistically significant result, because again, it's testing the strong null hypothesis. And that's an even more important caveat if the randomization tests are used after an unplanned change in design occurred in the clinical trial, but before breaking the randomization. So a randomization test can be used with any randomization method. And what are the different randomization methods? These are the popular ones. There's simple randomization, which basically corresponds to flipping a fair coin for each patient. There's permuted block randomization, which we saw, where we have a block of half of them with T and half of them with C, and we permute the order. We have stratified randomization, which is essentially doing permuted blocks separately within different subgroups. Then there's some other methods that are becoming increasingly popular. One of them is covariate adaptive randomization, which is also sometimes called minimization, and sometimes it's called dynamic allocation. And this is where you use information from the covariates on past patients who have been randomized and on the next patient randomized to see which assignment is going to increase the balance. And then you favor the randomization probability that increases the balance. Then there's response adaptive randomization, where you use outcome data to actually change the probabilities to favor treatments that are doing better so far. Scott Evans and I wrote a paper against response adaptive randomization called we wanted to call it Lead Us Not into the Temptation of Response Adaptive Randomization. Unfortunately, the editor made us change it to a much less, a much worse title, but that's what we wanted it to be. So I am not in favor of response adaptive randomization, but you can use randomization tests in connection with response adaptive randomization. So I wanted to just describe those last two methods of randomization a little bit more. So this is the covariate adaptive randomization. And the way it works is like this. Suppose that you want to achieve good balance in terms of gender and hypertension status, baseline hypertension status in your trial. And so far, you've randomized 24 people to your trial. And for example, you have 10 men in the treatment group and 8 in the control group. You have 8 who have hypertension in the treatment group and 6 in the control group, etc. And let's suppose you're really interested in minimizing the imbalance, where the imbalance is the gender imbalance between the arms and the hypertension imbalance between the arms. And so your next patient comes along, and the next patient is a male who does not have hypertension. So I've highlighted the columns, the male column and the no hypertension column. And so if the next patient, if we assign the next patient to the treatment arm, then this treatment imbalance, there's going to be 11 in the treatment and 8 in the control. So that'll be 11 minus 8. And then in the hypertension, this will be 6 minus 5. So the imbalance will be 4. Whereas if I assign the next patient to the control arm, then the males, this is going to be 10 minus 9. And then this will be 6 minus 5. And so the total imbalance there will be 2. So we find less imbalance, i.e. more balance, if we assign the next patient to the control group. And so we flip an unfair coin now that has a higher probability of assigning the next patient to the control group, maybe a 2/3 probability of being in the control group. So that's covariate adaptive randomization. And here is response adaptive randomization. So you start out with 1-to-1 randomization to the intervention and the control. And then after some time, you see that more patients in the control group are getting sick than in the intervention group, say. And when that happens, you now change the randomization probabilities to the two arms and make it, say, 3 out of 5 chance of getting into the intervention group. So you're essentially doing 3-to-2 randomization. Now, randomization tests can also be used in a paired setting, such as this is an older trial, the community intervention trial for smoking cessation. What they did, this is a community randomized trial where they had 22 communities and they pair matched them on the basis of these factors: geographic location, size, and socio-demographic factors. And then they randomized one member of each pair to no intervention and the other member of the pair to an intervention to help smokers quit. And the primary outcome in each community was the proportion of approximately 550 pre-identified heavy smokers in the age range 25 to 64 who were able to quit smoking. And one of the pairs, here's the data in one of the pairs. So in the intervention community of the pair, 20.4% of people were able to quit smoking, whereas in the control member, 24.9%. So actually the control did a little bit better in this pair. And if we take the difference of the intervention minus control, we get minus 0.045. Now, if the intervention really had no effect, these data should be equally plausible no matter what the labels had been. So I'm going to switch the intervention and control labels. And now if I take the intervention minus control difference, it's positive 0.045. And likewise, so the randomization distribution for that particular pair is either minus 0.045 or positive 0.045 with probability 1/2 each. And similarly, each pairwise difference is equally likely to be plus something or minus that same thing. And so we can get a null reference distribution again by considering all the randomization switching or no switching, and then computing the mean of the 11 paired differences for each of those possible relabelings. And when you do that, you get a p-value of 0.685, 0.686. Now, interestingly, they did a one-tailed test, by the way. And interestingly, the p-value, if you did a one-tailed t-test, is 0.685. So very close p-values. What a coincidence, right? Spoiler alert, that's not a coincidence. For traditional randomization methods, when you have large sample sizes, the randomization and t-tests are going to give nearly the same answer. And it turned out that in the commit trial, 11 was a large enough sample size, 11 pairs, was large enough so that these p-values came out extremely similar. And that works. I mean, the fact that the t-test is almost the same as the randomization test, because the test statistic is like it was the average, but the average is just like a sum of plus or minus deflections. So they're plus or minus something, and they're roughly equal sizes. And so you can think about this the same way we think about a quincunx, which is also known as a Galton board. These are available for about $35 at Amazon. I love the one that I got. But I also made my own quincunx. So this is what it is. Quincunx is balls that are rolling down and hitting push pins in this case. And when it hits the push pin in the first row, it's equally likely to bounce left or right. So that's a left or right deflection. Then the ball comes down, hits the push pin in the next row. Again, it's equally likely to go left or right. And then if there were 11 rows, my quincunx actually only had 8 rows, but imagine that there were 11 rows here. Then where the ball ends up at the bottom here depends on how many left deflections there were and how many right deflections there were. So this is very similar to what we do with the randomization test, where it could go minus 0.045 and positive 0.045 with equal probability. And you can see that the balls that are collecting in the bottom here are forming a nice bell-shaped curve. And that's why the t-test is a very good approximation, because this randomization distribution at the bottom is approximately normally distributed. Now, temporal trends. This is something that can happen in our clinical trials. And a randomization test will protect you if you have temporal trends. That is, people are doing, say, better later on in the trial. So in trials in emerging infectious diseases, we can have these temporal trends in baseline health dramatically over time because of several factors, at least these three. The virus can evolve over time. There can be better background care as we learn, how to treat the disease. Introduction of vaccines could not only prevent the disease, but they could also modify it, and so it's not as severe. And here is an example in COVID-19. This is 30-day mortality in hospitals. And you can see that in April 2020, the 30-day mortality rate was about 12.9%, whereas in May 2020, it was 5.9%. Now, there are a lot of possible reasons for that, not all of which, some of which could be random fluctuation. Some of them could be maybe you're identifying only the sickest patients at the beginning and not so much a month later. There are different explanations, but one of them is undoubtedly that the mortality rate is going down over time, perhaps because we're learning better how to treat people. Now, a bad randomization can be really subject to bias from these temporal trends. And here's an example of a bad randomization that no one would do. I admit that no one would do this. Suppose you did this. You used 1-to-4 randomization to treatment or control. That is, 1 patient gets treatment, 4 patients get the control in the first half of the trial. Then you switch that and use 4-to-1 randomization in the second half of the trial. So overall in your trial, you get an equal number assigned to the treatment and control, but in the first half, they're mostly controls, and in the second half, they're mostly treated patients. So suppose there is a temporal trend and, differential improved background care is causing the second half of the trial patients to be, less sick. Then, because most of the control patients were in the first half and most of the treated patients were in the second half, if you just take the difference between treatment and control, it's going to look like treatment works, even though what's really going on is that there's just a temporal trend. And so with most methods of analysis, the chance of reaching a false positive conclusion will be increased. It won't be 0.05 like you want it to be. And a randomization test automatically handles any kind of temporal trends. The reason for that is if there is a temporal trend and you re-randomize the same dumb way that you randomized the first time, then in each re-randomization, most of the control patients are going to be in the first half, most of the treatment patients are going to be in the second half. So that difference, that temporal trend, will be reflected in your randomization distribution. And so to reach statistical significance, you're going to have to see an observed effect that is large enough to overcome this temporal trend. And, I showed you a very foolish randomization scheme, but similar things can happen with response adaptive randomization. And similar thing did happen in one trial that used covariate adaptive randomization. The problem in that trial has now been fixed, but still it actually happened. and I'm going to tell you about that now. This is a 2008 FDA Advisory Committee meeting on Pompe disease, a very rare debilitating neuromuscular disease. Can happen either as an infant or a juvenile or as an adult. The infant onset is the most deadly, but the adult onset is still bad, and patients often require wheelchair eventually, and then have to be put on a ventilator, and unfortunately they die. So Genzyme Corporation conducted this late onset treatment study, or LOTS. This involved 90 patients with late onset Pompe disease. The primary outcome was how far you could walk in 6 minutes. And they used a 2-to-1 allocation to the drug or placebo using this covariate adaptive randomization. And the factors that went into that covariate adaptive randomization were the site, how far you could walk in 6 minutes at baseline, and forced vital capacity of lung measurement. And one of the analyses that the FDA insisted that they do, it was a re-randomization or a randomization test, which at that time they called that a re-randomization test. And here is the graph that was presented to the FDA Advisory Committee by the statistician. And what it shows, this histogram here, the red histogram, it shows the distribution of the 6-minute walk test, the randomization distribution obtained by scrambling the labels in all the different ways. And here, this blue line over here is the standardized effect that they got in their trial, their z-score. And a z-score of around 2 is usually where you can claim statistical significance. But notice that this randomization test does not have mean 0. Usually randomization distributions have mean 0. This one did not. And it so happens that if you use the usual method of analysis, you don't use a randomization test, you get a p-value of 0.035. If you use a randomization test, you get a p-value of 0.06. Now, I'm not saying that that's why the statistician said that he didn't think a randomization test was appropriate, but there certainly that could have had an influence. But he said that the re-randomization test doesn't seem appropriate because the mean is not 0, the mean of this randomization distribution. But on the contrary, the fact that the randomization distribution is not centered at 0 means that the usual analysis methods could be prone to this confounding by temporal trends. Whereas a randomization test protects against the confounding because again, when you re-randomize, you're going to get that same kind of temporal trend. So it's not going to look like your observed effect is too big. And so it'll be harder to get a statistically significant result, which it should be, because the fact that the randomization distribution is not centered at 0 tells you that you did something wrong in your randomization. You didn't do a good randomization, and your procedure is prone to confounding by temporal trends. So for more information on the LOTS trial, here's a reference on that. For more details about the statistical problems that minimization caused in this trial, we have a reference here on that. And for the beautiful way to fix the problem that was encountered in this particular trial with covariate adaptive randomization with unequal allocation, this paper is a really nice paper fixing that problem. So oh no, the hint came too soon. It was supposed to be covered up. But anyway, yeah, I was going to give you a 1-question quiz. A t-test allows generalization to the population, but a randomization test applies only to the participants in your trial. That was supposed to be a true or false question. And many people have said this, by the way, and several statisticians have said this. And the hint is that this is bovine manure. This is total nonsense. It's false. because generalization in our clinical trials is always subjective. Doesn't matter what statistical test you use. We never actually have a random sample from some population of interest, so there's always some judgment going on about who you can generalize to. And one reason to see that it's pretty silly to say that you know, the comment about the randomization test applying only to these people, whereas the t-test you can generalize to a larger population. We know that with large sample sizes, the t-test and the randomization test are giving you virtually identical answers. So how could it be that only one of them is generalizable when they're both giving essentially exactly the same test? It makes no sense. Please don't say this. Don't say this. If you're tempted to say this, stop yourself. Okay. So in summary, randomization provides the basis for analysis. That's called the analyze as you randomize principle. It works by fixing the data at the observed values, regenerating the treatment labels using the same randomization method you used in the trial, and then you get the randomization distribution of the test statistic. It's easy to explain to non-statisticians. We've seen that for large sample sizes and the standard randomization methods, for example, simple randomization and permuted block randomization, you get virtually the same answer as the usual t-test or tests of proportions in the binary endpoint setting if you have large sample sizes. And this provides a valid test with essentially no assumptions necessary. And again, there is a caveat, though, that it is testing a strong null hypothesis that that there's no effective intervention on anyone. And basically what you're saying is the data that you observed would have happened regardless of the randomizations. And this method can be used with any randomization scheme, but don't use just any randomization scheme. Do not use response adaptive randomization is my advice. Of course, other people disagree with this, and listen to the arguments, but then don't use it. So listen to both arguments carefully and then don't use it. And I believe that is it. Here are some references that you can look at. Oh, good, I did include the Proschan and Evans. Okay. And thank you very much for your attention.
Michael, thanks very much. Lovely presentation, as I expected. I appreciate the humor that you weave into these presentations, so bringing light to sometimes dry subjects. So we got a bunch of questions.
Okay.
And in no particular order. How about power with regard to randomization test versus model-based methods?
Okay.
Is there a difference? Does it matter how big the sample size is?
Okay, yeah, no, that's a great question. So power, if you have relatively large sample sizes, then the power is going to be similar to that of the t-test because again, it's almost exactly the same test. So you can basically do power calculations for a t-test and it will be valid. Now, with respect to a model where you perhaps include other covariates in your analysis, then you can actually do a randomization test even in that setting where you look at the residuals after adjusting for your covariates, and then you do a randomization test on those residuals, and that will have power that's very similar to your linear model that you use, for example, in that setting. So so you're not really losing power by doing this. If you have very small sample sizes, then you lose power, but that is appropriate. That's appropriate, right? Because if you have small sample sizes and they're so small that you can't even get a statistically significant result using a randomization test, then you probably shouldn't be claiming any statistically significant result. The fact that the t-test can give you a tiny p-value with even 2 people per group is, is a real problem, because I think if you're trying to, claim something statistically significant result with two people per group, there's a problem there, I think.
Thank you. So many questions. It's clear that we're not going to get through all of these, so I'm going to try to choose carefully.
Okay.
Are there situations when the randomization test and the model-based tests can give different answers? I think the answer to that is yes, and you just cited one. But could you
Right.
elaborate a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah, I did cite one where the randomization test cannot come out statistically significant. So, for example, you have 3 people per group, and you have a binary, and you want a two-tailed alpha 0.05. There's no way, even if all 3 of the sick patients are in the control group and all 3 of the healthy ones are in the treatment group, that will not come out statistically significant. There are also other settings where it's possible that you will get a different answer, and one of them is if you have a big outlier. That can profoundly affect things, and it profoundly affects things in both types of tests, but more so in the t-test, because if it's a large enough outlier, the t-test basically is not going to come out statistically significant, whereas the randomization test could still come out statistically significant. So yeah, so there are some settings where it won't give you the same answer. Those are rare though, or it won't give you close to the same answer, but those are rare.
Are there ways to estimate sample size and power if you know that you're going to use a randomization test? Do they differ from the methods that we would use for model-based analytic methods?
Yeah, so not really, because as I said, the permutation test with large sample sizes is basically going to give you the same answer, and so the power is also going to be the same. So you can if you have large enough sample sizes, you can do the same calculation you would in a t-test, and it will be approximately correct for the permutation test as well, the randomization test.
Now, you've used randomization test and permutation test occasionally. I've heard both terms. And we have
Yeah.
several listeners asking, is there a difference between those two things?
Okay, yes, I'm glad for that question, because yeah, permutation test is usually used when you're talking about simple randomization, or you can use it when you have permuted block randomization, whereas randomization test is more general, and that the general randomization test can be used with basically any randomization method. So that's the difference. Permutation is usually reserved for the simplest forms of randomization, the simple randomization and permuted block randomization, whereas randomization test is more general.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A question that investigators might be interested in when you're submitting an application to NIH, you want to submit methods that are going to be well reviewed, well received, or if you're submitting an application or data to FDA, you want to submit something that's based on methods that they will approve of.
Right.
Are randomization tests accepted by study sections at NIH, and are they accepted by the folks at FDA?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are these are well recognized methods. They are particularly attractive because they are what's called robust, meaning that they don't require assumptions for their validity, and so you don't have to worry that, oh, there's a violation in assumptions, I've got a problem. No, you don't have a problem, because the randomization test as I say, essentially makes no assumptions whatsoever. And there's you can also get, I didn't talk about confidence intervals, but you can get confidence intervals from randomization tests. And those will also be similar to the confidence interval you get for the t-test. So there's really no legitimate reason for not accepting a randomization test.
Thank you. What about an imbalanced sample sizes? So, if you end up with more people in one arm than the other, in spite of the things that you did by design. Does that have any adverse impact on a randomization test?
Um, I mean, not really. You can still, so when you do a randomization test, you can always condition on more than what you actually had. So for example, if you randomized using simple randomization, and then you ended up with, 100 people in the treatment group and 92 in the control group, then what you can do is, even though you use simple randomization, a different, you're flipping a coin for each patient, and so if you re-randomize the same way you did the original randomization, you could end up with different sample sizes. Yet the commonly done thing is to condition on more information. So if you got 100 in the treatment group, 92 in the control group, then you're going to look at re-randomizations that achieve those same sample sizes. And so that's where the term permutation test comes in, because now you have 100 T's and 92 C's, and you line them all up and then you randomly permute them. So when you do that, you're going to end up again with 100 T's and 92 C's. Every re-randomization is going to have the same sample sizes that you had in the original trial if you do it that way. And that's in my opinion, that's the best way to do it.
Uh, so most clinical trials experience some loss to follow-up, so that there can be missing data.
Right.
How does that impact a randomization test? Do you use things like multiple imputation or last value carried forward, or
Yeah, I mean, it really causes the same problems in a randomization test that it causes if you're not using a randomization test. So whatever method you want to use for the imputation, for the missing data, for example, multiple imputation, you can still do the randomization test because you re-randomize and you impute and the same way that you imputed for the original trial. And so it really doesn't, it causes problems, absolutely. Missing data always cause problems, uh, but it's not causing problems that are unique to randomization tests, for example.
um, much of the work that I do, and looking at the people who were attending the webinar, this is also common for some of them. We do group or cluster randomized trials where you're assigning work sites or hospitals or
Right.
doctors' offices instead of individual patients.
Yes.
Um, and you cited the commit trial earlier,
Right.
and Mitch Gale's paper, one of the earliest applications of randomization-based methods to group randomized trials. So we know they can be used there, and they
Yes.
are used fairly often. We have a new kind of um, group or cluster randomized trial that's really been exploding in popularity in recent years, called a stepped wedge group or cluster randomized trial. Um, and in these, groups cross over from control to intervention on a staggered schedule and in a random order, so that by the end of the study, all the groups are in the intervention arm. At the beginning of the study, they're all in the control arm. And what that means is that treatment is confounded with time, with calendar time.
Right.
In all of the papers on model-based analytic methods, we're strongly advised to adjust for time. Can we use a randomization test here? And if so, do we still need to adjust for time?
Yeah, I mean, the, yeah, so step wedge designs are kind of tricky to analyze correctly, whether you're using randomization tests or not. And I think there are some methods out there that I don't think are good because they suffer from that problem that I mentioned earlier, where you could have, in this case, a small number of communities and yet make a strikingly strong statement. And I just don't think that should ever happen. If you have a really small number of communities, you should not be able to make a striking statement. Now, if you do the randomization test, randomizing to the different order, I mean, permuting or re-randomizing the different orders, then I think that might be a reasonable method. I did just hear a talk recently from my boss in which he had another method of doing it. I can't reveal what that is because I would have to kill you. But look for future research on that.
We'll keep an eye out for that then.
Yes.
What would you say is the biggest disadvantage of a randomization test? You've been talking about advantages. What are there disadvantages?
Yeah, I mean, it's for one thing, it's certainly more work if, for example, if you're going to try and compute the confidence interval using the randomization test. And to me, that's the biggest disadvantage, which is not really a big disadvantage in this day and time when, there are plenty of programs out there for doing it. So I really just don't think there are, any big disadvantages. And as I mentioned, though, if you have large sample sizes, you're going to get virtually the same answer as the t-test, or if you do a randomization test in the setting of other baseline covariates using a linear model, for example, you're going to get about the same answer as in your linear model. So, Fisher, R.A. Fisher himself actually has a quote in which he says that the t-test is valid because it's an approximation of the randomization test. So he actually considered the randomization test to be, the most valid kind of test, and the t-test was valid because it was a good approximation of the randomization test.
I've heard variations on that story.
Yes,
Sometimes it's a t-test, sometimes it's a de novo. He created both of those. So
right.
um,
Yes.
I don't have a time machine to go back and hear what he said.
Yeah.
How does the randomization test compare to methods like bootstrapping?
Okay, very interesting. So, Efron and Tibshirani in one of their books, I believe it's Efron and Tibshirani, they have a section devoted entirely to that question. What's the difference between bootstrap and randomization tests? They're both similar. Bootstrap, you're picking randomly from your sample essentially. Um, and so you could, and you do it with replacement. So that means that you could theoretically get the same number for everyone in your sample. That's extremely unlikely, but that's the main difference is that the bootstrap is sort of randomly picking from your sample, and so you're sort of picking yourself up from your bootstraps because you don't have the whole population, you only have the sample. Whereas the randomization test is, keeping the data fixed and scrambling the labels. Um, you know, they, it's not too unusual to get similar answers from. I mean, you generally are going to get fairly similar answers. Um, there are some settings when, I think the randomization test has the beautiful advantage that you can prove that it has the correct type 1 error rate, period. No question about it. It does have the correct type 1 error rate. The bootstrap does not have the correct type 1 error rate necessarily if you have small sample sizes. it's really sort of assuming you have large sample sizes, even though it's used for small sample sizes. So there's no real theoretical justification that it's going to control the error rate, whereas the randomization test absolutely has a theoretical justification that it controls the error rate.
Are randomization tests applicable for subgroup analysis?
Yeah, there's no reason that you couldn't do it in within subgroups as well. Um,
I know you have opinions on subgroup analysis, or
uh,
generally.
well, I mean, subgroup analyses are challenging, and because you could easily, there's usually a lot of them, so you could easily see some trend that may or may not be real, and so there's the difficulty of the multiple comparison problem, and we encountered that, um, in the um, in the ACT trial, where we had a very strong looking effect in one of the subgroups, a strong effect of remdesivir on mortality in one of the subgroups, and we still struggle to you know determine whether that is real in that subgroup or not. um, there was the Solidarity trial came along and showed no effect on overall mortality. So, uh, you know, whether there is an effect in that particular subgroup or not, we really don't know. Hard to say. So that's the problem with subgroups, is this multiplicity problem that just makes it really hard to interpret whether it's real or not.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you spoke about the strong null hypothesis of no effect of any kind anywhere.
Yes.
If I'm remembering correctly, Gale's paper from 96 talked about a weaker null in addition to that strong null. I don't have that paper in front of me right now, so I can't pull up details. But are you able to speak to the weaker null that he talked about in that paper?
Yeah, I'd have to reread that. Uh, I haven't read it uh, recently, so I'm at a loss to really comment on that.
Yeah, no, we're both in the same situation there.
Yeah,
Um,
I can say that, just related to that point, and I didn't have a chance to get into this at all, but there's a very interesting setting in which you are uh, you're doing an adaptive trial, or, well, not an adaptive trial, but you have an unplanned change that you need to make in the design of the study. So this is totally unplanned, so that's why it doesn't really fit under the definition of adaptive. It's worse than adaptive because it's unplanned. Um, Randomization tests can be used even in that setting, as long as you made that design change before breaking the treatment blind. But there are caveats. So for example, if you looked at if you wanted to change the primary outcome, which I don't advise, but if you wanted to do that, um, after looking at data but before unblinding, you can do that, but the null hypothesis that you're testing now becomes that the treatment doesn't have any effect on any of the variables that you looked at. So you might switch to outcome A, but then at the end, technically, you can't say it had an effect on outcome A. You can technically only say that there was an effect on at least one of the 4 outcomes we looked at.
Interesting.
Yes.
This will be the last question because we're running low on time, and I'm sorry that we haven't gotten through all of them. Apologies to our participants. Many questions. Biostatistics has seen a push away from null hypothesis significance testing and more towards estimation, even for trials.
Yes.
This participant is asking, what's your opinion of this emerging viewpoint, and is the randomization test compatible with this emerging point of view?
Right. So you can get confidence intervals from the randomization test by inverting the test. Um, uh, and there's some newer research on that. Now, what's my view on that? Well, I personally have the opposite view, because I feel much less confident that I have, that the size of the effect that I'm observing in my trial is necessarily what I would get if I generalized to some larger population. However, I feel confident that treatment has has some effect. So, I think this attack on p-values and hypothesis testing is overdone, in my opinion. I do agree that relying only on p-values is not a good idea at all. You've got to do both. You've got to do p-values and confidence intervals. But I don't really agree with the extreme position that we ought to outlaw p-values as one journal did, for example. That is ridiculous. It's absurd. It's dumb. It's everything bad. It's just a
That is
dumb decision.
your view on that is made quite clear. Dr. Proschan, thank you for a terrific presentation. I enjoyed it, as I always do, and I'm going to turn things back over to John to wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murray, and thank you to everyone who participated in today's webinar. On the Mind the Gap website, prevention.nih.gov/mindthegap, you will find several resources for this talk, including the slides and a list of references. We will also be posting a recording of today's webinar on our website next week. You will receive an email with a link to the recording when it's available. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.